Thanks. I didn't realize we were the first year, so we set the bar really high. And who knows what will happen for the rest of the year. So Lane passed out, anytime I have faculty, I love to have the opportunity to give them a quiz. So there's a quiz that you can, oh, you need one? There's a quiz that if you can look at it, you can start filling it out as I'm talking. The intent of that is for you to, of course, keep it. You can grade it. And we're going to go through it. Is a good note taker. You can write notes on it. Again, then you can stick it in your briefcase or your purse or your backpack and take it back with you. But as Darren said, our intent is to just talk about, and we can take the conversation wherever we need to take it, about how we can better serve our student veterans on our campuses. And because of more and more student veterans coming back to higher ed, I think if you looked at some trends, and if you've been in higher ed for some years, that back in 2003 or 4 or 5, you probably didn't have as many as you do today in the classroom. And there's reasons for that we'll talk about. So hopefully we can share some discussions. I do know both Darren and Ken are veterans. Are there any other veterans in the room I can make fun of or talk about? Or? All right. Great. So my next question, are there any spouses that's the second hardest job in the military, is so your husband was in Navy, so you're a Navy spouse. So moved around a little bit with him? Yeah. Was he on a ship or shore or a ship? Good. Good. San Diego? Okay. All right. Anybody else in the audience that may have a son or daughter, or you have a son, daughter? He was what, Army or Air Force? So you're a brat? You ever heard of that term? Okay. Where were you born? No clue. Do you know where that is? Yeah. 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 Okay. All right. Good for you. Someone else raised their hand. Nope. He's back from Iraq. Afghanistan. Army? Marine? Army? Okay. So that's your daughter's husband. Okay. Where? Do you know where he's at? Station? Okay. Oh. Do you know where he's stationed at? Your daughter? Where they live? No, but what base is he out of? Is he here out of?
He's here now, and he's on the National
Yeah.
Guard.
The point being, yeah, about that. So, in the Spokane area, we have Fairchild Air Force Base, which in the big scheme of life is really not a very big base. But what you do see, and you've probably seen a lot of your students, we have a lot of National Guard and reservists in the Spokane area, due to there's both Air Force and Army, National Guard, and reservists who have been called up quite frequently since really post 9/11, and been deployed multiple times. Is probably more than his first time. Yeah, and there's some challenges with that also because of the nature of being in the Guard or Reserve, and a citizen soldier is what they're called. But so when they come back, and maybe you can share a little bit, when they come back several weeks later or a month later, they're back working at the bank or in Costco or as a student, and they don't quite have the support network, or they're in your classroom, and they don't quite have the support network that, say, an active duty service member has when they get back from a deployment and they're still at Fort Lewis or wherever, and they have that support network on the installation. So I assume he's back at work soon, or yeah. So there's some challenges with in the classroom with guards and reserve folks that come back and forth. So any other connections? So I would like to ask, because most of us have connections to the military in some form or another. Like what's that goofy 7 Shades of Bacon or 7 Connections to Bacon? So you've got somebody, or you probably have a neighbor who may have served or serving. So I just wanted to start with that. So there's a little quote up here for kind of the academic world to take note of. I found that in a book. We actually have that we have a fairly nice lounge, the university. That's up in big letters on the wall above in our lounge above the students' computer lab. So Anyway, I just think it's kind of, if you read it a few times, it kind of has some meaning for us to just keep in the back of our minds. So what I like to do is kind of use it as a template, as a guide for our discussion, and then we can take it from there. So kind of big picture first, and again, on this as much or as little as you want. Just so we know, students that you have in your classroom who are veterans or currently serving, there's 5 services that the Department of Defense is in charge of. So, and anybody, we've got covered a couple of them already. So, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. Right. So, there are students, I bet you, on this campus that are in, probably have been in one, even the Coast Guard, which is very small, probably have one of the students in your classroom. Wouldn't surprise me, at least on your campus. Which one is the largest service? Anybody take a guess? You be quiet. Excuse? Yeah, Army. The Army is the largest of the services, and the oldest. So I just put that question there because I'm Army, and I got to make sure you guys understand that. But here in this area, you know, the National Guard, there's Army and Air Force. Do you all understand the difference? So we have active duty. Do you understand the difference between the National Guard and the Reserve? Can anybody maybe, I got some head nods, explain that to me? You're nodding your head. Yeah. I'm sorry, your name?
My name is Karen.
Karen, yeah.
The National Guard, sometimes, as far as I know, I used to run the government job off Sundays.
Oh, so you're the one who messed the pay up or got it straight when I traveled?
Yeah.
Well, they have DTS now, right? Yeah. Well, I'm Army, so I don't know what you called it. Yeah. Okay. So you should know the answer to the Guard or Reserve. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know all the numbers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a close. You wanted to add to that? Yes. Yes. So the National Guard, and Army, Air Force, National Guard, those are the only services that have the National Guard. So the governor owns them. So like coastal landslides, or we have, within the state, the governor can call those service members up. And it may affect students on your campus, and you may want, I don't know what your policies are on your campus. If you have a guard person get called up and miss, you may want to take a look at that, because we updated some of ours. We had 3 or 4 coastal landslides missed our first week of spring break, our spring quarter. We had to talk and work with the professors, because you can't penalize those students. It's actually a state bill. You can't penalize those students who are called up by the governor to do something in the state. So something occurs. So I would maybe one of your students who are in the Guard or good, make sure they're talking to you about when they have drill on the weekends, or sometimes they may come to you and say, I need to leave early on Friday because I got to go to Yakima. So the Guard is owned by the governor, and they do drill on weekends once a month, and they usually do a couple weeks in the summer. And as you said, the reserves are owned by the president that way. So they can be on different titles, full-time in uniform. warriors, we would refer to them. So just be mindful of that, and if you're not sure what your school policies are on guard or reservists to get called up. And of course, for your son, to get you have them, I'm assuming. Back working. Job of, okay? So just be mindful of that. Any questions about question 1? We'll move on. Question 2. The academic world, the military loves their acronyms. So can anybody tell me what OEF stands for?
Operation Enduring Freedom.
Right. You get put a star next to that. Can you tell me what that means? If I told you I was in Operation Enduring Freedom, just assume I was.
I would assume it's going to be.
Correct.
Okay.
You 2 stars. And the countries around there I like to refer to. So operation, you may have talked to a student, you may see a patch on their backpack, a bumper sticker on their car. It says OEF. So you can assume that that person, Operation Enduring Freedom, was the first operation that actually stood up after 9/11 for Afghanistan that person has served in Afghanistan and countries around. Air bases were just outside there. Operation Enduring Freedom. That operation has kind of stood down recently, and it's got a new fancy name. Anyway, some general got promoted because he came up with a new acronym to call it something else. So what's OIF stand for? Operation Iraqi Freedom. Operation Iraqi Freedom. Again, that operation technically stood down. So you may know what the last acronym stands for. It's a tricky one. Operation Dawn. So that's actually what the right now. It's called Operation New Dawn. Got a catchy little name. Doesn't make the paper much, but we've got about, I can just speak for Army because that was what I was in. I kind of keep my eyes on it. We've got close to 3,000 Army boots on the ground and to almost over 10,000 in just down the road from there in Kuwait. So we don't realize that because we don't talk about it much. So we love our acronyms. You may be talking to a student veteran who may throw some acronym out there. All of us, Air Force, Army, Navy loves their acronyms. Navy acronyms. The Navy loves to take like nav, com, sub, pack, fleet. Or they take the 3 letters and they shove them all into one big thing, and it means something to them. So that was in. So just like an act game, there's acronyms for that. You may hear students not have to use them in a discussion. So any comments or questions, Dad? Okay. Can you show a little video? The next slide, I just want to show you, just to kind of give you. It's going to get real loud. Video. What basic training is like. This is the Army, but I mean all the services are pretty much the same. I won't make fun of the Air Force. But I want you to hear. I want you to hear what the drill sergeant says. All right, and I'll tell you what he's going to. He says basically, we're going to transform you. All right, we're going to transform you both physically and mentally. So when you have a service member, I don't care if they're Guard, Reserve, Air Force, whatever, everybody goes through some form of basic training, some cultural change in their lives, and they get transformed both mentally and physically. And I'll speak for myself, but I know Ken mentioned he's been out since, I won't date you, but you said 89 or something. But I know your experience and your time in service, and I know Darren's and mine, is with us forever. I don't care if you're in 4 years. I won't even tell you how long I was in, but I mean a long time. So it transforms you. So your students in your classroom have experienced something like this that will live with them forever. So. All right. It's better when it's really loud, but that's all right. Try it. That's good.
Hurry up and get down the freaking hill. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Get down, let's go with you. You're not going to be able to carry it. Right there, stop, right there. Carry the freaking drum. Carry it. Lift it upstairs down. And it's yes, so sergeant. You got that? Say it. Yes, so sergeant.
What you just saw was the initial reception for the pilots coming from the 43rd to their unit and first made aware of how big a change was coming into their life.
Pick up the crew bag and let's go. Hurry up.
Going from civilian to soldier, the soldierization process has a number of steps. The first step is the shock and awe. It goes into a pro lesson because we are pushing them.
Do not sit back up. What don't you understand about that? You want it. You carry it. Let's go, sergeant.
Our goal is to stress them because combat is far more stressful than anything we're going through.
Some of these things take out the road, not something that's going to be easy. Transforming yourself from civilian to part of the world's most elite fighting force is a journey that will transform you both physically and mentally.
We are primarily teaching them the ability to move quick, fast, and in a hurry, which they do. Our goal is to make them both physically and mentally strong. And it has to start somewhere when it all boils down to it. If they don't acclimate, if they don't soldierize, it could be their lives or the lives of the battle buddies they left behind.
It was kind of a shock when I got here and all the drill sergeants were like all in our faces, yelling and stuff. And I don't know, it's kind of frightening at first, but I mean, as time went on and we got to know them and their personalities, things started getting easier like day by day.
Hey, you have enlisted in the military, something the majority of society would never do. So you've already been a success. You've taken that extra step. Don't give up on day one. Because if you quit now, you're going to quit at everything else that you ever tried to do in your life.
Why are you here? I don't know.
Anybody want to enlist? Get some age waivers, get you in there. Ken's laughing now. So I like a little clip, just to show you the words are important. I mean, you're transformed. Your life's going to change, and I don't care if you're in the Guard or Reserve or active duty. That you're taking AIT, whether it's 6 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks. Common advanced individual training. So Ken, that lasted for you, but it was 8, 10, 12 weeks. Fort Sill. You just got to pull a lanyard and close your ears. And, so that's just kind of the culture that you're immersed in. And in the military, we can discriminate in our employment. We only take certain people, and there's certain criteria you have to meet. And it's challenging these days because a very small percentage we're a volunteer force, and a very small percentage of the population even meets the criteria to serve, whether it be age or medical reasons or whatever. It's becoming a challenge. Just a little bit of a challenge. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you real quick, and I think, go ahead a couple slides. The last comment I wanted to make, go up, I can't remember what sequence I'm in. Go one more, a couple more, I'm on the way off. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to mention, and then we'll move on to the post-9/11 GI Bill, is, the military is a reflection of society, so I just wanted to show you some current issues and some things in the news that the military is having to deal with, just like we do in society. Over on the left, those are two young female officers now who were West Point graduates. I don't know if anybody stay current on the news. The first two females that graduated from Ranger School, just graduated recently after these two. Two. There you go. And so there's discussions amongst all the services of opening up more and more opportunities for women in different occupations. And those two women, incredible story, because Ranger School is about 62 days long if you go straight through. They endured that for about 160-something days because they kept getting sent back through certain parts of it. So I just admired their mental and physical courage to continue to do that. And if you don't know anything about Ranger School, you can Google it. And so there were some concerns about having women in the program. The first cohort class of Ranger School, this is mostly Army, started this week, and they're not even going to they want the press out of the way. It doesn't matter how many females start. So there's another cohort that's starting as we speak. So, and the other two issues you can see on the right-hand side in those blocks about what the Department of Defense is doing with same-sex partners, and then we've got at least an estimated 15,000 transgender services. What are we doing to make sure the Department of Defense and the services are moving in the right direction, the right force, military structure, and also reflecting what's society, whether you agree or disagree. So those are some challenges that are out there that the services are facing right now. Okay, on to question 3. So that's kind of a snapshot. That's just a snapshot of military culture. What is bringing more and more of our veterans back to campus? The post-9/11 GI Bill. Right. So I gave you the answer to number 3. 11 GI Bill, when that was enacted into law. Don't say on 9/11, 2001. Good guess. Anybody? Oh, don't show that yet. You're too easy on them. Go back. Oh, actually, it's a soft. Go ahead. So it was enacted into law in August of 2009. So I bet you did some. I won't make fun of your data system right now on your campus, but if you went back and did some research on this veterans on your campus and looked at some trends, just like at Eastern and 4- and 2-year colleges, you saw a big uptick in veterans coming back to school after 2009 when this new GI Bill came into effect. All right, and because what it did is it backdated anybody who served after 9/11 forward. I won't get into all the details, got this great, and I like to call it a scholarship, got this great scholarship sitting there in front of them, so when they got out, they can come back to it doesn't have to be a 2- or 4-year school. They can use it for an apprenticeship, for a flight school, vocational, lots of different things, as long as the school that they're in is approved by the VA. And as you can see, lots of money, $46 billion. It's a pretty hefty ticket. Taxpayers. So there's lots of rules behind it. Got to stay in class, got to pass my class, can I take a class over? We won't even get into that, and if I let Lane talk, he can talk for 4 hours about the ins and outs of the GI Bill. But you may have students who've come up to you and say, I'm going to fail this class, or I'm going to should I drop your class? Or, there's effects of their attendance in your class and such on their benefits. And some of them are pretty smart about it and are very aware of it, and some, I hate to say it, when they got out, didn't really listen to the briefing on the post-9/11 GI Bill and don't know where to go on your campus to get advice and may do some things that will affect them financially for some years out because the VA wants their money back if you're not going to school. And some huge effects to now, anybody else know what comes? I got to look at the slide to see if it's up there. Anybody else know what else comes with the GI Bill? A housing allowance. Yeah, you're up on that. Yeah. So how do you know that? You just read about it. No, yeah. You get a housing allowance while you're in school. Your typical student, and I'll use a typical example, 36 months of benefits. They're in school, which is $12.40 a month right now, or 12. Yeah, it goes by your zip code. So it's $1,100 something dollars. So the intent of that is to be a full-time student and not have to work. A lot of them do anyway. And then you get a book stipend, about $1,000 a year to pay for your books. Okay, great. All right, they need to take advantage of it. And 36 months is why you're in school. So really, 36 months can cover a good, almost 4-year education. The second thing you can do, which has an impact, is veterans now can give their benefits to their son or daughter or spouse. So you may have them in your classroom too, and this young 18-year-old freshman walks up and says, "What is no, but my dad gets it, and the impacts are just the same." We get more calls from the sons and daughters' parents than the sons and daughters about, "Hey, I just got a bill from the VA. What's little Johnny doing?" Well, have you talked to little Johnny lately? Because he hasn't been to class for 2 months. And so there are parents involved in this process because they have given their benefits to their sons and daughters, our spouses, and they're going to school, the service member or the veteran. So you can kind of see the breakout of the percentages of that. So you have some questions on why a student veteran, because they may be asking you the implications of finish this course, write the paper, give me credit for it later. I mean, all these factors that are involved. Of that. And Bremerton, and there's naval. There's a lot of stuff. And those of you who've lived in the state know all that. But there are a lot of veterans in Washington State, and the projections are going to go up. So hence the second column. All right, between 2013 and 2018, what's the projected increase across the country of post 9/11 veterans? You got 4 choices. How about 51%? Good guess. So what's that tell you? You're probably going to see more and more veterans class. All right? Because all these young men and women who did their 4-year, 6-year enlistment, joined in 2007, 8, 9, out now. If you read the news, the services are squeezing a little bit and getting smaller. The Air Force is regretting it right now because now they want to get bigger again. If you read military history, if you read history in general, it's cyclic. You know, things happen in the world. We need more people. We need less people. We need more people. So there's a little bit of trend of both enlistments are ending and the services are saying, we don't thank you for your service, but we don't need you anymore. Your enlistment's up. You may want to stay in, but we're going to make you get out. All right? So just be aware of that. Question 5. And it's actually off the GI webpage, and who knows, how my numbers may be a little bit off, but how many students are currently using post 9/11 educational benefits at Spokane Falls Community College? Anybody know? 400? Yeah, that's what the GI, the comparison to a website says. It said 429. That can be somebody using a benefit. So I don't know what your enrollment numbers are, but if there's math majors in here, you can do some quick math and stuff. Yeah, you don't need to, because your computer's not working. Yeah, that PeopleSoft, I tell you. So whatever your enrollment numbers are, yeah, there's about 400-ish or so over the last year. So anybody know how many dollars that brought in? Tuition and fees straight to your institution? What the website says again is about $737,000. All right. And you can see Eastern's number. We bring in about 2.9 million in tuition and fees. So that's a great conversation to have with the administration when you say, well, you know, can I build something for veterans? Why do I need more robust services for veterans? Well, you know, return on investment, they're bringing in dollars straight to the university. The tuition and fees that the GI Bill gives them doesn't go to the veteran. It goes straight to the college and university. Now, their housing allowance and book stipend goes into the pocket, but tuition and fees come straight to the institution. So this just food for thought when you're talking about veterans and what we should do to help them. So any comments or questions about, or maybe you've had an incident with not an incident, you've had a discussion with a veteran in your class that made you scratch your head, whether it be the post 9/11 GI Bill or anything else that anybody wants to share or not? Okay, what's probably, Lane, the biggest challenge we have with student veterans, not to put you on the spot, student veterans in the classroom with professors and the GI Bill?
GI Bill?
Yeah.
It would probably be grading and attendance. As Dave mentioned, VA paid students to take the video to school, and it pays to a benefit. When we report a student back to VA as far as their enrollment goes, we're on the hook to at the end of the term, to tell VA how that student did in every single one of those classes. It's not
Yeah, go ahead.
If a student withdraws, so a student says they can't handle the course and it's too much, they actually go in and do a withdrawal, or a draw, or I don't know what they call it. It's a W. So say a student W's into the class and they no longer need to go, still they have to report that back to VA. Because that VA calls that a non-cumulative grade. Does not affect the GPA. There still is a financial impact. There'll be a financial impact on that employee on their housing allowance if it drops them out of the half of what's full time. And then there could be a financial impact on the tuition and fees that they pay. What happens is VA does a formula. Say you go student in 16 credits the whole term, tuition fees are $1,000. Halfway through, maybe drop them to 10 credits. Tuition fees might change. The VA has it formulated out for the whole term. If they're in 16 credits in the whole term, there's a dollar amount that they've associated based on the length of the term and what that student's eligible to earn back. And then if it drops, then that recalculates what they've been paid. And then VA goes back to the student for his pay.
And so I mean, that's why you may have discussions, or students may have discussions with you about withdrawals. The students who know the policies or know the financial implications, and there's a lot of rules and regs. So they need to really talk to someone in your office, your certifying official. The web pages have some good information too, but they got to understand the financial impact that may have, and the guidance they may get may be different for every student situation. And last thing I read, the VA's there's millions of dollars out there that the VA is trying to get back because of these situations that Lane mentioned. So, and we can talk for hours about that. Any other questions about? We got about 10 more minutes. So I want to cover the last couple topics. Any other questions about the post 9/11 GI Bill? Okay. Question 6. What does PTS and TBI stand for? PTS? Post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury. Yeah, DOD actually dropped the D off post-traumatic stress, the disorder. I think it's a good idea. So post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. And there's literature out there. The VA does actually have a pretty good website for the practitioner or the lay person about post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injury. Anybody that maybe have read some literature or has some experience, please share with it. But I mean, what are some of the behaviors, the most common behaviors? And the VA actually looks at 4 particular behaviors when they categorize post-traumatic stress. There's usually a 3 to 6 month period of time before they'll actually classify you with post-traumatic stress, because in some cases they feel the service member can acclimatize back into the unit, into society, and overcome some of these challenges. But if the behavior continues after a period of time, then with disability coverages and such, they can then classify you with post-traumatic stress. Anybody know some of the symptoms, behaviors that you would see in someone with post-traumatic stress? Sleep's an issue that the VA looks at if you have a challenge sleeping. Yes, hypervigilance and oversensitive. You may have a student in your class that there's loud noises, or that video I showed about basic and AIT, that may be challenging for some students. Anybody in here teach a history class? No? About a psychology class, you may show a video. You may be talking about World War II, or you may be in a poli-sci class talking about policies in Iraq or Afghanistan, and discussions may come up in the classroom that may cause us to have some challenges in the classroom. Reliving the memories is another symptom of post-traumatic stress. That service member may relive the memories of that whatever they encountered. And hyperarousal. So there's 4 things that the VA looks for. as you know, if you do any little bit of reading, I mean, a car accident can cause post-traumatic stress in an individual. Any traumatic event in a person's life can cause post-traumatic stress. What is looking for and what we see in our service members is they've been, for example, been exposed into a combat zone for 6, 9, 12 months. A little different. And, you know, they may never been under direct fire. They never may have been kicking down doors and whatever. They've been hypervigilant. They've been in an area where their life's in danger at all times, whether it be an IED, whether it be mortar attack. But they may be in a Connex working administration the whole 12 months they're in Afghanistan. But there's challenges they're under every day, 24/7. That we still read about in the paper. That doesn't make the front pages as it used to, but there's still challenges where service members are losing their lives or getting wounded in Afghanistan and Iraq or other places in the world. Any comments or any questions about? Believe me, I'm not an expert. There's lots of resources out there to educate yourself a little bit more on post-traumatic stress. And then traumatic brain injury. The DoD is actually working, believe it or not, with the NFL, National Football League, to work through some issues with traumatic brain injury. Some of the symptoms, how we can, because of the combat environment these young veterans have worked in lately, with the amount of improvised explosive devices that have been blowing up them, have been causing a lot of traumatic brain injuries where their brains rattling around because of blowing up in and around them. And so that's been a challenge too. So memory loss, headaches, things like that. We call it disability support services on our campus. I would assume, what's it called on this campus? Yes. You have an office on campus that can advocate for your student veterans. I think they're disabled. They may not tell you about it. They may have a rating, but they may have some of these challenges with. And I'll just share with you that when they took a survey of our wounded warriors, there's three resources that service members found the most beneficial. Number one was the VA Medical Center, which we have a great one in Spokane, even though everything you read about in the VA to deal with the medical centers gets bad press, because good press doesn't make good reading. We do have a great resource there. So if your student should have tapped into that. A second resource they talk about is medication. So you may have students on some sort of medication, sleeping or anxiety or tension or whatever. And anybody venture a guess what the third best resource for veterans with post-traumatic stress? Other veterans. Good answer. Yeah, you must have surveyed. Yeah, other veterans is the best resource of the top three listed. Other veterans. So I know you have a veterans center in the basement of the library, or in one of the floors of the library. All right, that's a good place for veterans to get to know each other, talk, share experiences, and excuse me. A vet club?
Yeah, the vet club.
You have a vet club. Yep.
It's the Armed Forces.
It's got a name.
AFVA, Armed Forces Veterans Association. There it is.
Okay. Yeah. If you have a student veteran, it's amazing. I mean, every quarter we run into 2 or 3 veterans on our campus who don't know about us, don't have benefits, so don't think they can use our services, don't know where the Veterans Resource Center is, because they don't go into that building. So make sure they understand and know about your resources, which leads to the last question. Actually, not question, scenario. We don't have too much time left, but I'd like to maybe just have a discussion about if you as a professor, you're with a student. So I'll just read it real quick and then we can have a discussion. It may generate some thoughts about what services you have on your campus and in the community. So as you have a meeting scheduled with a student veteran at 9 o'clock to discuss some changes in the class schedule, and she's 15 minutes late, and during the conversation she mentioned she struggled to get out of bed, apologizes for being late, and during the discussion she mentioned she did 2 tours in Iraq. You feel she's reaching out for help. What are some of the resources on your campus you can suggest she look into? So we said a couple, the Veterans Resource Center, the club. We call it DSS. What do you call it here? The Disability Support Services? Same thing? Same thing? Does everybody know where it is on campus? It's best if you walk, if the student's wanting to go, that you walk them over there. All right? Call ahead and say, I'm walking Jane over to see someone and make sure the doors are open. I don't know what your hours are. What are some other resources that you may have on your campus? Great. And I saw when we walked in the door, there's a little thing by the door that says Veteran Contacts in this building. All right? Maybe you should be listed as one if you're not. Are you listed as one? You have to have training.
There's a specific training
Oh.
to and then you get that.
Okay.
But you don't just get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
My personal feeling is all the staff and faculty who are veterans should be a point of contact.
I agree.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot, Ken, but
It is on office window, but it's not.
yeah. At Eastern, HR doesn't tell me who our faculty network that have wanted. I invite them to our social events. We created these Got Your Six pins that we glued on. Got Your Back. That those. We have a six card that when our faculty or staff go through some training, they can put that in their window, on their bulletin board, outside their space. That's a great resource. Faculty and staff, even an old guy like a student who is artillery, and you can hook them up with Ken. What other resources?
I would keep a list for the VA contacts.
Great. Yes, that's a great point. If they're not on your website, they're on our website, or if there's resources within the community, not just the medical center, there's the Veterans Center in the Valley. If you've ever seen, it's a beautiful building behind the YMCA in the Valley, right off the Centennial Trail in the river. They built in 2009 or 10. Beautiful resource for a veteran. They have they're part of the VA Medical Center, but removed from the hospital grounds to keep that disconnect. But there's groups, things that go on there that veterans can get involved in. That's a great resource too. Yeah, having contacts within the community. Any other thoughts or ideas? Great point. It's called CAPS on our school, Counseling and Psychological Services Office. All right.
We have a specific counselor that works with veterans, and we have her work with veterans.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, we don't have veterans in ours, but our front Debbie works as the administrator of CAPS, and she's a Navy veteran, so she's always the first point of contact with us. And we've done some offline training with them. So, yeah, they don't have to be a veteran. We've had a couple of veterans in ours come in and out as grad students and interns. But, yeah, CAPS, I don't know if it's called CAPS. It's called CAPS on our campus. Where's that located? Again, walk the student over to the DSS office or the CAPS office, and there may be a good resource. It's close. The student gets it. It's free. Doesn't cost anything. Where you hit, and I got to wait 6 months to get an appointment, and so forth and so on. So CAPS could be another quick resources that the students really may not realize they have as a student on campus to use. Any other resources? You may have something similar to this. We have a dean of students and student life. They're kind of tied into the club discussion. There could be some clubs and organizations, may not just for veterans, that they may help them be involved with, that can create that sense of community that may help a student veteran on your campus. So that's another thing to look into also. So we've run out of time. It's kind of open-ended. To be respectful of your time, I know this was supposed to go till 12:40, so we're just wrapping this up. I try to stay on task on time, but yeah, are there any comments, questions you'd like to share with the group, or any questions of me or Lane, either with the group or if you want to chat afterwards? I'll give you about 10 seconds, and if not, we'll end it there. Okay, Well, I thank you for spending. I didn't see anybody eating lunch. I do see a sandwich, but no brown bags going on. So hopefully you have time to go eat lunch. And thank you for spending some time. All right. Thanks. Yeah.